Before I graduated college, one of my professors told me that it takes 3 years, a total of 3 years, to really get settled and comfortable in a new city that you relocate to. I moved to New York City on November 28th, 2011. My personal goal, I had a media production degree and I wanted to be in the film industry. It doesn't matter what it was, I just wanted to be on set working in film and TV. To break it down, I didn't move directly from Buffalo, and FYI, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. But I didn't move directly from Buffalo to the city. I kind of bounced around a little bit. Before I graduated college, I went to Australia, and then I, got back from there, did another semester at school, hung around for a semester. Then that fall, after I graduated, I moved to LA for a few months. Then I got the cruise ship job, did that for a few years. After the third contract on the cruise ship, I decided that I needed to make sure that I'm focused on getting into the film industry. So I made a conscious decision on the ship to make sure that I was, trying to pursue my dream of working in film. I decided to move to New York City. My first night, I got there at like 9 p.m. and I had my little backpack. I didn't drive because I didn't take my car. So I'm like, oh, you're gonna move to the city. What the hell do you need your car for? Well, I didn't take my car and I had everything with me that, that I could carry, and I relocated to the Bronx. I remember walking from the train station, my first subway thing from Port Authority, and I was getting really tired because I'm like, oh my god, this place is so far from the friggin' train station. And I sat down on this it was there was a gate and there was concrete. I don't want to say a stoop because it really wasn't a stoop. It was kind of like a gate. But I sit down for a second, adjust my bag, and then this rat, just walking around. I'm like, great. It's 9 p.m. There's rats everywhere, and I was like, oh, this is the great New York City experience. My first welcoming was with a rat. I lived in the Bronx for the first 9 months of me living in the New York City area. I hated living in the city. Job-wise, I had a few freelance things. I worked for this one PR consultant company. I did, some camera gigs, some editing, and I didn't really like it, but it was freelance. It was, paying the bills. And I also, at the same time, I worked at Macy's for the holiday season. This is the Macy's that's the most giant store in the world, and there's 20 fucking floors, and you can get lost in it and everything. And I did actually get lost a couple times going into work, or coming out of work for that matter. After Macy's, I got a cafe job. Only because I was so focused. I was like, you know what? When I go to the city, I'm going to make sure that whatever day job I have, I'm going to be happy with. And you know what? I want to be a barista, and I want to be really damn good at making coffee. Found a good job that was teaching me how to be a really great barista, and I was like, really great, I have a barista job. While I relocated to New York City, I was in a relationship with a guy from the ship. And the one thing that I really hated about the city is that no one talks to you. It doesn't matter if you're around. It's everyone's always pissed off or unhappy or whatever. Until you find your niche, you're really, really lonely with hundreds of people around you all the time. And it's doesn't make it any better when you have to wake up super early and it takes you an hour to get to friggin' work on a really cramped subway space, and you're just like, oh my god, I hate my fucking life. And that's how my life was for a number of months when I first moved to New York City. Hated it. But, I had a moment of crying, and I was like, you know what, I just gotta do this for my dream. I gotta get through this. I almost moved back home a couple times. I'm like, I'll just move back to the ship, I'll just do the ship job thingy. But I don't know what it was, but I convinced myself that you have to do this. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. While I'm doing the barista thing, I'm doing a few freelance things. I'm still living in the city. You have to deal with a lot of rejection. I've been on so many interviews. I've submitted my resume and applied for so many jobs, it's insane. While getting rejected and while doing all this stuff, I'm working as a barista. Boyfriend gets off the ship, moves to the States. Then he moves to Jersey. So I move with him to Jersey. So I moved to Jersey. I end up moving out of the city, and I didn't want to move out of the city. So I'm like, I've had it with that barista job in Times Square, so I'm gonna go get a barista job in Jersey City or wherever it was. Journal Square, Jersey City, whatever. So I go and I get a job in Jersey, and then I get another job in Jersey, and then I'm moving to Jersey. So I've made the full transition to Jersey. Me and him break up basically, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in Jersey and I want to be back in the city. Fast forward a little bit more. I apply for the DGA program. I get rejected. I take it really, really bad. I get into a really bad state of depression. I'm like, fuck my life, I don't know what to do. Whatever, DGA program's a super big deal. It's a super great program if you want to get into being a first AD. It's they pick 7 people every year, and it's super competitive. On the way back from going home for a week vacation to like de-stress because I was like working so much. I get into a car accident, totaled my car. If you are thinking about moving to the city, I will have to warn you that you are going to work like nonstop. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Rent is really, really high. If you're renting a room, it's going to be like $600. If you're like, say like you get an apartment with multiple people, I mean 500, 600. But if you're trying to get a studio apartment or something, it's like 1,100, 1,200. And if you can get low income housing, then that's great. It's really expensive, food's really expensive, transportation is really expensive, so you are going to work a lot. Before I got into my car accident, I was working like a consistent, like almost 70 hours a week between 2 jobs. Jersey is as expensive as New York City, if not more sometimes. Once I transitioned from, you know, New York City to Jersey, I was a barista and I worked at a TV station. So I got into broadcasting. I learned more about broadcasting and I was a master control operator. And then I wrote a few commercials, shot a few commercials and stuff like that. And, you know, I really just tried to build my resume as much as I could. I was at that job for like about 2 years. So I get a great boyfriend and then I get a more stable home, stable home situation. I get a dog and like me and my boyfriend now have been together for 1.5 years. I have a really good foundation of friends. Laura and Betsy have been my friends since I worked at the cafe when I first moved to the city, funny enough. The first job that I really had where I actually gained friends was working at that cafe in Times Square. Without those struggling side jobs, you know, those are the ones that, you know, you can get friends from. Another thing I didn't talk about is I also am a photographer. So while trying to get into the film world, I was like, oh, I want to be a photographer, get my art in fucking galleries and be top shit. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? My art's not good enough. So I was working at that, trying to get more of my art out into the world, and then I applied to be in this art club and that worked out and I am a member and I've been a member of that for almost 2 years now, so it's like holy crap. So looking back on where I was 3 years ago and where I am now is almost amazing to me because now I'm not working at a broadcasting station, I'm not working at a TV station, I'm working at, you know, a film production distribution company, which is, you know, I have some bad days and I have some good days, but man, it's never a dull moment, I can say that. But I have to say, like, a 3-year period is like a long adjustment period, and you can't keep going home because you're never gonna have like free time, you know, to kind of get, you know, used to the city that you're in and, you know, force yourself to, you know, meet people and be friends with people and be social and stuff like, oh, I have to go home this weekend. And I was doing that. So I think around the 6 to 8 month period of me living in the city, I made a conscious decision to be like, you know what, I'm not going to go home all the time, which was good for the adjustment, but now I hardly ever go home. I go home, I make sure to go home for at least one time in the summer and then for Christmas, at least, which I should probably be going home more, but then I won't be living my life here because now I have a job. So it's harder for me to, now that I don't have a cafe job, it's harder for me to like get time off. My professor, Meg, actually, if she ever watches this, I don't know. She may or may not watch this, but I think that there's a lot of truth to her theory of, you know, it takes 3 years to really get going and settling in a city. Because I have friends, you know, I have a significant other, I have a dog, I have like a rhythm, I know Jersey, I know New York City. I found my happy medium and I'm in a comfortable spot. I mean, I wish I could work less hours, but I can't really do anything about that because I'm still working in a city that everyone's a workaholic. So just remember, if you're ever going to move to New York City, just remember that you will become a workaholic, whatever it is, whatever field it is, you're going to be working all the time. So enjoy what you do. Make sure you enjoy the work that you do and enjoy the people that you work with. Make sure that to keep in mind that the adjustment period is like really long. I say that if you can get past the first year, you're on your way to a good transition into relocating. That is my 3 years in a nutshell. Happy anniversary to me. And anyone else who is relocating out there, I wish you luck. And that's that for the Amber Living vlog, and I shall see you guys next time.